What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here for a new segment for you guys. We're going to be bringing this to you after every single press conference from here on until the end of the season. The press conference has been made for the big Europa League game tomorrow night in Hungary, of all places. Obviously, because of COVID rulings and everything, this game has had to have been moved from Austria to Hungary. We are playing Wolfsberger in an away tie in the Europa League last 32. The press conference has been made. Sim, how are you feeling for this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a big game against Wolfsberger. I think Europa League's becoming increasingly important given our league form at the moment. Obviously, there's still time to turn that around, but as the longer the season goes on, the more likely it seems that the Europa League is going to be our best route back into the Champions League. So we have to definitely take this very seriously. We're obviously coming into this game off the back of having played, I think, 120 minutes against Everton, the big grueling game against Man City. So two energy sapping games. And obviously, it's been a bit of a break because it's Thursday we're playing. So you can't put tiredness as an excuse. But Mourinho apparently has been saying that, we'll get into it, but he's been saying players who played 210 minutes in those two games are unlikely to start in this one. So that does rule out a few players. But look, his press conference has just been done. He's saying a few interesting things, but we should get into it.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's run it from the top. Let's see what he's got to be. Let's put it that way.
Well, yeah, the first question, who was talking about team news, he was asked about specifically Sergio Reguilon, because last week he said that Reguilon, he said he might be fit for Europa League or whatnot. So the question was, will Reguilon be fit for the match? He said no. No, he said no good news is coming on that one. He said he hasn't been. It's not a setback, but it's just the process isn't going as fast as they thought last week, and they're now looking ahead to the weekend or the following Europa League next leg to see if he'll be back for that one.
I mean, yeah, so we're hoping for getting back into West Ham, or do you think it's more likely to be the next Europa League game?
I mean, they've released training pictures of him training, so I'm assuming based on that it's likely he'll be available for the weekend. But then again, we said the same with Aurier, didn't we? We saw Aurier training and he wasn't back until potentially this game.
It's going to be massive for that West Ham game. We need him there for then, don't we?
Reguilon, for sure. Especially if Davis playing this game and the West Ham game, it's going to be a lot for him, especially against tricky customers like Jared Bowen and people like them.
Well, Davis is one of the ones that played both games, 180 minutes, or even more than that.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? He did.
Up until the end of extra time, and he played the full 90 the next game as well.
Sirkin was in training.
Oh, really? Yeah, Sirkin's in the squad.
He's going to be in the squad, so maybe we'll see him as well. It'll be interesting to see on that.
Is that the first time this season he's been in and around the squad? Because I don't remember seeing him much this season.
I think he might have been on the bench a couple of times, but I can't remember. exactly. But
it was a weird one with Sirkin, because at the back end of last season, he said he's going to be involved within the first team this season. And then the Reguilon signing kind of pushed him back a little bit, didn't it?
It did. He just hasn't mentioned anything about Sirkin or anything like that in the press conference, but he was pictured in training with the first team, and he did say that anyone playing 210 minutes, it's going to be tricky for them to start. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of lineup we do play.
Yeah, I mean, so that's first of all, the first bit of news is a bit of bad news. Reguilon is not going to be taking any part in this game on Thursday.
Yeah.
But hopefully we've got a bit of hope for him coming in against West Ham or the second leg. But let's move on. What else has he been saying?
So the next question that was asked him, he says, is Son definitely playing as he was basically... Son was speaking after Mourinho doing the press conference. So he said, given the fact that Son... was asking questions, that mean he's definitely playing? And Mourinho said, but basically Mourinho said, well, one of the questions he asked the press officer was if the player doing the press conference has to be a player starting the game. And Simon Felstein, the press officer, said, no, it doesn't. So that tells you basically that Son isn't definitely going to be starting. Basically, he's claiming. He said he can either go both ways.
Just a curveball though from Jose?
Yeah, probably. Well, Son, I'm pretty sure, also played 210 minutes, didn't he? So. Whether that means he doesn't start remains to be seen. He said it can go both ways. He can play, he can be on the bench, but the second part of the question, the team that we're going to play will be the strongest team that I can pick for the game. Last week we played, as you know, 2 matches in a very short space of time. I had players run more than 28 kilometers on Wednesday, and then 28 kilometers against Man City as well, which is absolutely crazy. So of course I would like to play with all my first choice players, let's say that, but unfortunately that is not possible. But the players that are going to be playing are good players that I trust, players that the team needs. Luckily, not every player played 120 minutes against Everton and 90 against City. Some of them did, and some of them played less than that. Maybe some of them played 90, some of them played 60. So these are the ones that they have to go.
Let's have a look, have a think about who actually did play every single
I'm pretty
minute.
sure
So Højbjerg is one.
I'm pretty sure Hugo Lloris.
Mm-hmm.
You got Davinson Sanchez, pretty sure played both. You got Ben Davis. You've got Højbjerg. You've got Son.
No, Ndombele went off.
Ndombele went off at full time, but then obviously, when did he go off against City? Probably on the hour.
He went off around the hour mark.
Yeah, and then he played 90 minutes against Everton and went off for extra time. So I believe that's 5 players there. Lucas or Lamela, they went off early, both of them, didn't they, against City?
Yeah, they've both gone off. Harry Kane didn't.
Played an hour against Everton, 90 minutes against City. So it's also quite a bit. So I think there's 5 players there, I believe, that have played.
You think Hart comes back in for this one? I really hope not.
I hope not. I don't think he will. Because keepers are different. Keepers can play game. They don't have to play, don't have need rest time as much as outfield players. But when you look at outfield players, I think, a lot of those players are going to be given a rest for sure. I can see Højbjerg being given a rest. I can see Davinson. I can see Son being given a rest. But the question is, Davis, who do we play at left back if he's not going to play?
Well, the only option is Sirkin or maybe a Tanganga. Could easily slot Tanganga there if we're going to play Aurier right back. Yeah,
Aurier could come back in because he looks like he might be fit. But those are the players who all played 120 minutes. So I reckon he'll look to rest a lot of them.
You could also back a Doherty to play in this game against Wolfsberger.
Yeah, mid-table Austrian side. You have to be,
if you can't come in and do well against a side like this, like what's the point of even having you?
Agreed, and especially given it's the away leg. Even if we have a bad performance and say we draw 1-1, we still have the second leg to contend with. You know what I mean? So it should be enough. Especially in Budapest, they're not going to have home advantage or anything.
Could be Doherty right back and Aurier left back.
Could be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of that. Even if we put Tanganga at centre back, I would be in favour of that. But that's what he was saying on that front in regards to team selection, who he's going to be going for. So that was a bit interesting. Next question he was asked: what have you been working on in training to stop individual mistakes that have been made? That was asked by Jack Pitbrook of The Athletic. And Mourinho's response was simple. He just said everything we can do, we're doing, starting with players receiving information on their phones and iPads with immediate analysis of all situations so they can read and analyze by themselves. Then the individual meetings, analyzing every situation and trying to improve every situation. Then on the pitch, like we did today, we've come from a little rest period. We managed to have today and yesterday 2 good training sessions. Yesterday, they had, apart from the global session, they had individual work with Ledley King and the staff. And then today, we had a collective session in relation to the game tomorrow. There's work. That's the only thing we can do to try and improve. Keep working very hard. So, yeah, look, it doesn't give much away in terms of what exactly has been causing
what else
mistakes.
Is he
going to say? We're still trying to work hard. But interesting that the question was put to him. And obviously, he's aware of it. It's something he's been mentioning a lot.
If he wasn't aware of it, then it would be in dire straits, wouldn't we?
Well, he's been mentioning it himself, hasn't he? So it's not like he's not aware of it, but it'll be interesting to see how we combat that in over the next few weeks. It's a very crucial period now with us, with the Europa League and Premier League games. There's going to be no let up. Obviously, without the FA Cup, so that gives us a bit of reprieve, but we're still going to have Europa League, Premier League, Premier League with the Carabao Cup final intertwined in April. So a lot of games coming up, and he's going to have to manage the squad very carefully.
In terms of individual errors, we've seen a lot from obviously players like Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez. But when it starts creeping in with players like Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, surely that's when you got to look at players are being overplayed, because he has literally played every game this season. He needs rest.
I don't know if it's necessarily that he needs rest. I mean, obviously he has played every game, but I think it's just the fact that you can't be amazing every game. So I kind of feel like, yes, well, ideally he should have more rest in terms of he's played a lot of Europa League and stuff like that. But he's been very consistent over the whole season in general. And yes, he's made mistakes over the past couple games, but it's not necessarily just due to tiredness. It might just be an off game. You know what I mean? You can't be amazing every game.
Yeah, but there's like glaringly obvious individual errors there. It's not just like you're having a bad game. He's actually playing all right, and the levels are okay, but there are actually slip-ups in there that could be due down to tiredness.
Maybe we're just putting two and two together, making five. Like I don't like you. Yeah, it's an easy solution. Saying he's overplayed, and he might well be overplayed. But also, you just got to feel like you just got to see it as the fact that, as you say, his performance level is actually still not bad. He's just making stupid mistakes. So maybe it's just okay. He's made some mistakes. That's it. It doesn't have to be down to something. Players do make mistakes sometimes, and doesn't mean they're tired. Doesn't mean they're bad. Doesn't mean it just happens.
Yeah, but when you take the whole account in the season, I think it might not be definitely true, but you can definitely see
you would have more of a case.
Be a big case because obviously no preseason, 3 games a week. You know what I mean?
You'd have more of a case, I would say, if his performances had been dropping and then mistakes as well. But as you say, his performance is still a fairly high level. He's just made a few mistakes. So maybe I think that's even less of a case to say that he's overplayed. But he might well be. I think playing 210 minutes in 2 games, which he has done, for sure is going to take its toll. For sure. And I would like to give him a rest in this game.
Yeah, let's move on. What else has been said?
So the next question was quite an interesting one. He was in regards to obviously this game's been playing in Budapest, so Wolfsberger are not playing in their home ground, which might be a bit of a disadvantage to them, seeing as though the away goals rule is still in place. And he was asked, "Are the away goals rule are away goals unfair with neutral grounds now?" And also another question from the Moose. He was saying, is there pressure on this week given the fact results haven't been good, and do you really need to get these results against Wolfsberger and West Ham? He said, first of all, in regards to the away goals rule, he said, my opinion is not important. What important is just the rules. It's up to the decision makers. And he said, we accept the rules if the tie is played one match at a neutral stadium, or it's another one in one stadium. Probably will feel that it's a little bit unfair because it's 2 legs and normally 1 leg's at home, 1 leg's away. But the rules are rules. Many times I disagree with the Wolves. Other times I agree with them. But you just have to accept the way it is. I don't think my opinion is important. But there is a discussion to be had, an official discussion with the institutions, and then I'd be happy to give my opinion. But in this moment, my opinion means nothing. In relation to the pressure, he said, I don't feel pressure. I feel just responsibility, which is a completely different thing. It's much better than pressure. I think it's about responsibility, ambition, motivation, not about pressure. We speak about players, about that today. We speak about again tonight in the meeting ahead of the dinner we have, about responsibility, motivation, and ambition. It's a very long competition for us. It's already been our 10th match in the Europa League, which is crazy because we haven't even arrived at the halfway point of the competition. It's a very difficult competition to win because of all these reasons. It's a competition that we must have the ambition to win it and the motivation. We have to go in tomorrow's game with the responsibility, with a strong team, to go get a result, so we can go into the next, be in the hat for the next round of the draw. So some non-answers there from Mourinho in terms of his opinion, but it's good to know that he feels that responsibility there. He needs to start getting results, but yeah, not much in that answer, I would say.
I mean, he is our manager, so
yeah. I mean, you expect that from your manager, don't you? To have responsibility. I mean, yeah, but not much in that answer, to be honest.
All right, let's...
But in terms of what do you feel about, is it unfair the away goals rule counts when it's not when you're not playing home and away?
I actually was under the impression that if one of the fixtures need to be moved, it was going to be moved to a one-legged tie. And I think that might be a bit more fair, one-legged tie, no team has home or away advantage.
2 neutral ties.
But is there away goals in that?
Yeah, what's the
point?
But should away goals count when one match isn't?
I don't know. I don't think there should be 2-legged ties if it's not at the club's home venue. But is it going to be going ahead at Tottenham next week? Are Austrians allowed to travel to England?
So.
What's going on with that one?
I think at the moment, yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. I think, to be honest, it should be a one-legged tie, and I think Europe in general, UEFA have missed a trick this year. I think every knockout tie should be one leg this year with the whole crazy schedule.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you probably might have a point. I like last year, but I think it is a bit unfair for away goals to count when we're not really playing away and they're not really playing at home. It's a bit harsh on them. But I'm not. I guess while it's two-legged, you can't. Yeah, I just think they should have scrapped away goals. Simple as if one
Scrapped
of them
away goals or scrapped the second leg. I feel they should have scrapped the second leg.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's a tough one. Do you just scrap the second leg altogether?
But I think they should have done that in general. The knockout tournaments, you said there's way too many games. Just have one game in a neutral venue and that's it. Finish. Yeah. Or you draw the home team or draw the away team.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think they should have done it just one leg. I think that makes more sense than having one neutral and one with us at home. Doesn't make much sense doing it that way.
But let's know what you guys think out there. What do you think they should have done in the Europa League and Champions League with all the changing of venues or what have you? Is it fair for a home team to not be playing at home in a different country and away goals still apply? Or do you think they should have got reverted what they did the back end of last season and only had one game in a knockout round?
Apparently, Mourinho just quickly has been speaking to Spurs TV about team news, which was separate to the press conference, and he's asked for an update on Aurier and Lo Celso, and it's not good. It's not good news. He said that Aurier and Lo Celso remain sidelined. He said Aurier, sadly, might even take longer than Reguilon to come back.
Oh boy!
He said, "I would say that Reguilon has some chances to play on Sunday and a big chance to play in the second leg, but he said I don't believe Aurier can do either of those two." And of course, Lo Celso still remains out. So that's a big blow.
That is a big blow.
That is a big blow on Aurier, especially when he was training last week. So I don't know what happened. I don't know, maybe he's had a setback or something, but that's a really big blow because we really need him back. So it looks like.
Let's talk about that Aurier interview for a minute, because it was really interesting, wasn't it?
He was talking about his relationship with Mourinho and how people perceive him and how he actually is behind closed doors when he's with the team. And also he was actually talking about which wasn't part of that video I show. It was on our Twitter we shared. He was also talking about that infamous clip from the Amazon documentary.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
He was talking about how
I thought it was in the same interview. I could be wrong.
It wasn't the same interview, but it wasn't part. I don't believe
it wasn't part of that clip.
Video. It wasn't part of that clip that we showed.
I just read the transcripts. I didn't actually read the clip.
Yeah, so that on the clip we showed, he was talking about Mourinho, how he's a different man to what he reads about him. Everyone says about him, and he's just isn't the same a person in person as what he reads. And he said if he was to go off what everyone said, he would have a negative perception of him. But actually, as a manager and as a coach and as a person, what he's dealt with, he's been really good. He said, and he spends a lot of time with the players and he hangs out with the players a lot. And he's very different to what other people might perceive of him. And he said maybe the year out he had, or everything made him readjust his methods and whatnot, because he seems to be different. And he said, also asked about have you spoken to Martial or Pogba about their relationship with Mourinho compares to yours? He said, yes, they're like family to me, these players, and obviously they've had a certain relationship with him, but I can't judge him on the back of how their relationship has been. I just have to have my own experience, and you have to live it for yourself. And he said, for me, I'm just concentrated about what's happening right now in the present, not what's happened in the past with him. And for me, he's been good.
With all these kind of negative things in the press the whole time, Mourinho and Aurier not getting along, Mourinho and Ndombele, Mourinho and Ali, Mourinho and this, Mourinho and that. Yeah, they could have some cases in some certain aspects, but ultimately, it's just media making a lot out of nothing pretty much most of the time.
A lot of the time it is, especially when, for example, like I remember that Europa League game when Winks and Ali went down the tunnel and everyone made a whole big thing of it and it was nothing. Like a lot of the time that happens with Mourinho. A lot of the time the perception precedes him, and that causes negative it causes people to think negatively on certain situations when necessarily not much has happened. He was talking about Aurier. He was talking about that Amazon clip where against Olympiacos and Mourinho's first Champions League game where he got called out and in front of everyone, from the whole team, and he said previously potentially he was a bit of a hothead, Aurier, and he said even at that moment he was thinking in his mind to just snap back at Mourinho saying, if you're scared of me, just don't play me or something like that. But he said he kind of realized the whole situation. Mourinho was very new to the job, and he realized that it was better to just keep quiet at that time and not be hot-headed about the situation. He said he's calmed down a lot as well, a lot in his career ever since he started. And in other moments he would have reacted differently, but he didn't react in that moment because of that. So that was quite interesting stuff from Aurier, I thought, in that interview. But I just thought in general it was an interesting interview from Aurier. Given I don't know who he gave it to, some publication, small one. But it was quite interesting what he had to say.
All right, well, let's get back onto the press conference. What else has been said?
So he was asked, does Europa League present the Tottenham's best chance of getting back into the Champions League? And he said, we're still in a fight for top four. Of course, it's very difficult, but mathematically it's still there. He said last season we were in a very, very bad position to get into the Europa League spots. And in the end, we made it in the last game, but we made it. Our motivation is, while it's still mathematically possible, we have to fight with everything, and we have to go. I remember we were coming from a 3-1 defeat to Sheffield United, and even after that result, that looked crucial in the moment. It was still possible, and while it was still possible mathematically, we chased it until the last game, which is the same thing we have to do in the Europa League. There's such an incredible number of matches. It's our 10th match, and we're not even in the last 16 yet. It's such a long competition. There are some very good teams. You just have to look at the English team still in it, and you know how strong the competition is. But it's open. We're one of the last 32, so we have a chance to win it. Again, not much in that answer. Only thing to point out is, pointing about last season, how after that Sheffield United game, it would that was a very bad result for us, and it did probably put pay to any top four hopes. But what you could say is, after that Sheffield United game, despite that being a massive blow to our top four hopes, we did keep going, and we did seem to turn around our form after that result. And despite missing out on top four at the end of the day, come the end of the season, we did kind of still turn around our form. So there was that motivation in the squad to turn it around, despite the fact that we weren't going to get top four. So it shows we're still prepared to fight potentially. That's the only thing I can really say.
From the games in the last couple of weeks, the Man City game, the Everton game, West Brom. Do you see fight in this team? Do you see a team that is going to turn it around this season?
Again, against Everton and West Brom, I would say yes. Against Man City, it's hard to judge because they're just such a good team. It's hard to judge how much of it was us not believing we can get back in the game, and how much of it was just Man City just being so much better than us. It's hard to judge it. But against West Brom and especially against Everton, the fact that we kept coming back every time we made a mistake, we kept coming back, made me think that we believe that we can fight to the end of the season, and we can play football when we want to, and when we really try and get the ball on the ground, we can. So that gave me a bit of belief. Obviously, there was a big blow, the City game, but I think the West Ham game, we're going to learn a lot. I'm not necessarily against Wolfsberger. We might not, because even if we play badly, we could say it's because this player is not playing and whatever, and Europa League, what or not. But West Ham is going to be a very telling fixture for me about where we are.
It really is a must win.
Yeah.
And we've said must win already this season, but I think this one is the actual first proper must win of the season. Because if we don't win,
especially if we lose,
if we lose this game,
yeah, that's it.
Top four is pretty much done.
I think it's done if we lose. If we draw, it's very difficult, but it's still there a bit. But if we win, we're back proper in it. We're proper in it if we can keep consistency. But a lot is riding on that result for sure. Especially if we lose, that's 9 points behind West Ham. I mean, wow.
Yeah, exactly. West Ham.
Yeah, Wow.
We all said they're going to go down this season.
Yeah, man, we got that wrong.
All right, let's move on to the more in the press conference.
Yeah, so his next question, he was talking about the goalkeeper situation. He said Joe Hart has started games in this competition, but it sounds like Hugo Lloris will start tomorrow. I'm not sure what he's basing that, what he said, why he said that, but he said, "What have you made of Hugo's recent performances and some of the criticism he's received?" And his response was, "Well, when a player is a top player, a player doesn't become a top player just because they make one mistake or two mistakes. It doesn't mean he's not a top player anymore. That's the important thing. I shouldn't speak about Alisson because he's not my goalkeeper, but I'm sure he won't take this in the wrong way." He said, "For me, Alisson is one of the top 5 goalkeepers in the world, but in the last couple of matches, he has made some big mistakes, but it doesn't mean he's no more one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Hugo for me is the same. He's an amazing goalkeeper, and he's performing super consistently since he recovered from his fracture on his arm. Since my time here, he is playing so well. If he had the responsibility in 1 or 2 goals we conceded recently, it still means he's the same goalkeeper. He's my number 1 choice, and he has all the trust and all my confidence." In Joe Hart's case, I'm also very happy with him. He's played already, if I'm not wrong, 9 matches, which is more, if than the previous 2 seasons combined. So in half of the season here, he's played more, I believe, than he played more matches than in the previous 2 seasons, which is very good for him. And he is also a goalkeeper I totally trust.
Do you think if Hugo doesn't sign this contract by the summer, then we're going to look to get rid of him this summer?
I could even see it, to be honest, being a case of us. Even if he, I can even see in a case of even if he doesn't sign a contract, I can see it being a case of him staying and just seeing out his contract. I wouldn't be surprised if he runs it down. I know, yeah, technically we might be able to get 10 or 15 million for him, which we might do. But first of all, is anyone going to pay 10, 15 million for a goalkeeper who's 34? Yes, maybe for a goalkeeper who's 34, because I remember City signed Bravo for like 20 million. But for a kid goalkeeper who's got 1 year left on his contract, who's 34, I don't think they're going to pay that amount of money for him.
He's France #1, World Cup winning captain. He's obviously a very good keeper.
I'm not saying no one's going to want him. I'm not saying no one's going to want him. I'm just saying why most clubs might just say, yeah, we'll probably just wait a year, see him run down his contract and sign him.
He's also on quite big wages as well, isn't he?
120 grand a week.
Yeah. Is that it? I thought he was on more than that.
Maybe 150, maybe when he signed a new one. So I think even if it's a case of if he doesn't sign a contract, I think it might be a case of Spurs, because I might be a case of Spurs just letting it run down in a way. Obviously, we wouldn't be happy about it, but I can see him staying. Whether he signs or not, I can see him staying.
It's like that when we had Moussa Dembele. I know it's not the same because he had his injury problems or what have you, but we sold him that 6 month earlier just to get that bit of money through the door. So I can see Levy going for another 10, 15
that was
million,
a bit different though,
because
because he went to China, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that was kind of a situation where they were prepared to pay for 6 months left on his contract, 10 million. In this situation, I think it's a bit different. I think it is a bit different. I can't see it. I could see clubs preferring to wait than sign it.
And how much are we going to have to pay to get a replacement for him?
Yeah, big money.
So I mean,
30 million.
Yeah,
probably more.
So that's it. I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, because he's going to want to get money in to spend money on a keeper at the end of the day.
Yeah, but it's about finding a buyer. And what I'm saying is, yeah, maybe we might look to sell him. But what I'm saying is, if we don't sell him, I can see him just running down his contract.
Yeah. Let's say Poch comes in for him this summer, 15 million. Do you reckon we get rid of him?
Yeah.
Probably.
If he hasn't signed his contract, yeah.
All right, let's move on. What else? Someone says here, Hugo's on 100 grand a week. I just did a bit of research, and that's right.
Yeah, about 100. I thought it might have been 120. I thought it was
a bit more, but yeah.
I thought it was like 120. I thought. The next question from Mourinho was: Is Sonny tired? ? He scored 1 goal in 10 matches, or is that sometimes the way it goes for a striker? And now Mourinho's response was, first of all, he's not a striker. He scores like a striker, but he's not a striker. He's a winger. So that makes it even more remarkable the amount of goals he scored. In the last 2 matches, he was one of the guys who that had ran more than 28 kilometers and played 210 minutes against Everton and City, and he ran more than 28 kilometers in both games. People that never played football maybe can say that's roughly half a marathon, So if the marathon guys can run double, why shouldn't a football player? But football is not athletics. Football is very different in the intensity and the way and the change of intensity, and the high intensity sprints is absolutely incredible what Sonny and other guys do. So it's not a surprise for me that he pays the price a little bit for that. That's the reality of things. But so happy what he does for the team, and so happy with his contribution. And he's a mix in with the stats of the other guys who plays as strikers. That makes him even more remarkable. So that was interesting on Sonny.
I mean, for me, it doesn't look like Sonny's tired on the pitch. It really doesn't. I think he's full of running, full of defensive running, full of running.
Assists against Everton as well. So despite not scoring,
it doesn't look like he's tired to me.
Despite the fact he's not scoring, like he'll first be scored against West Brom, but despite the fact he's not really scoring as much as he was earlier in the season, he's still providing for the team. So I don't think he looks.
But I would say
tired.
that his passing has gone really downhill the last like 5 or 6 games.
Yeah. No, that's well, he did get 3 assists against Everton, but
but I'm not talking about those kind of like. I'm talking about when he's got the ball in the middle of the park and we just need a quick pass to get our attack going, and it just goes astray.
It can be a bit loose. How has Ledley King been developing as a coach under you this season? Asked one of the journalists. He said it's just beginning for him. When he stopped playing football, of course, in his career, the club went in another direction. It didn't go immediately to the coaching side, to the pitch side. It went in different areas, so he was not developing as a coach. So for him, it was really the beginning. He never had the chance that we gave him this season. I'm happy. I'm happy with the man. I'm happy with the coach. I couldn't be more happy with the opportunity that we've given him. First of all, he just loves it. He wants to learn. He feels he can develop. I'm very happy with Ledley King and all my other assistants. They like to work with him because he is such a nice guy. Just a bit about Ledley King developing.
Yeah, a lot of people have been questioning Ledley and what he actually does recently. But it's hard to say, isn't it? Because obviously the team is riddled with individual errors. But is that really down to Ledley King and the coaching staff? I don't think so.
It's hard to say, but yeah, I mean, a lot of the errors, I would say, though, I would say a lot from set pieces. The coaching staff has to take an element of responsibility because they set them up. But what I would say is, but obviously individuals have to take responsibility for that as well. But a lot of the individual mistakes, like some of the stuff Dyer does and some of the penalties we're giving away, like there's not much a coach can do about those moments.
We haven't really been conceding from set pieces that much recently. It's mainly down to these stupid errors just from Lloris, Højbjerg, Dyer, Sanchez. You know what I mean? These kind of players. It's not really. We're not really in that moment anymore where we're just conceding from set pieces.
I can't remember the last time we conceded,
you know what I mean?
Set piece. When was that? Or I guess a penalty counts a set piece, but when from an actual corner or something, or a free
from
kick.
Corner, a lateral free kick, just missing a header.
I can't remember too many times we have recently. So maybe that's something they've cleared up. But yeah, there's these other errors are coming into play now. But hopefully, look, Ledley is got to remember it is his first year in coaching, so he also has got to give him time to improve as well. Hopefully, he will.
THFCJZN says any new injuries, and yeah, it's been confirmed that Reguilon and Serge Aurier are out for this game, unfortunately,
and
which
Lo Celso continues to be out,
and Lo Celso, which is you already know that. So yeah, that is the injury update. But let's carry on about the press conference. Or is that done?
There was one more question. It was just about
Ali Gold.
No,
the last one was Ali Gold.
Yeah, this was just Austrian journalist asking Mourinho if he can tell us the strengths and weaknesses about Wolfsberger, and did you know any of the players before the draw was made? And he said about strengths and weaknesses, he didn't want to do the opposition analysis for them, so he didn't want to comment on that. But he said, the only thing I can say is I deeply respect them, and I analyze so many Europa League games and the Austrian League because I respect them. Some people can forget, but I don't, because I played recently against Moscow in Feyenoord. So be able to beat Feyenoord the way they did and to beat Moscow the way they did tells us a lot of the potential of that team. We played recently another Austrian team that brought us into the analysis of the league and the profiles of the team and the players. I deeply respect them. I knew of a couple players before, but now I know them all. And that is the utmost respect you can give to an opponent, to say that I know them all. I've watched them so many matches. It's not going to be easy, but it's our responsibility and our motivation not just to win the tie, but his most important thing is next Wednesday we qualify. We're going to try and win both matches and qualify with some security, and that is the ambition from tomorrow.
All right.
So that is what he's talking about. Yeah, it's interesting. Also, in the group stage, it's important to note that they also got a 2-2 draw away at Roma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in the group stages. So they clearly have had a few big results previously, but they do currently sit 6th in a 12 team league in Austria. And we played against Lask before. They sit 3rd, and we beat them at home, and obviously we drew 3-0 away, I believe, to Lask.
Well, that's like the whipping. No, that was Ludogorets.
Ludogorets were the whipping boys, yeah. So that was pretty easy. That was, sorry, not easy, but that was different kind of situation. And yeah, so I mean, if we can't beat this lot, that's going to be a big bad sign for us, I think. And obviously we want to win, but if it is a draw tomorrow, whatever, you just got to take it and go into the next leg. But obviously you want to win 2-3-0 and get this tie over and done with by the first leg, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, these lot are on really bad form in the league. They've won 2 out of their last 5. So I mean, we got to be stamping our authority early. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at their Europa League games. Yeah, you're right. They lost to Borussia Mönchengladbach, didn't they?
Well, Gladbach are no mugs.
I can't believe they beat Feyenoord 4-1 away.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mad result. Really is.
What was their group then? Gladbach, Feyenoord, Roma, and Wolfsberger. They qualified.
I'm just trying to find it out now. So their group was Gladbach, Roma, and Moscow, it looks like.
Oh, so what Feyenoord they must have beaten in the qualifiers or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
They must have, yeah.
No, Feyenoord were in their group. It was Feyenoord, Moscow, and Zagreb. That was their group.
Feyenoord, Moscow. So where's Roma?
Roma was last year.
Oh, that was last year. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong game then. So they drew 2-2 away at Roma last year.
Yeah.
Okay, but still, to qualify that group, you need something about you, and that's fairly
Zagreb
impressive.
Beat them 3-0 at home.
Okay. But also, not only Mourinho was speaking, Son was also speaking in his press conference. He was asked a few questions as well. I'm trying to get I can't find the transcript for the whole thing, but he was asked a few interesting things. He was asked, first of all, about his new contract. He was asked, and he said basically it's unfair to talk about the new contract at the moment. I'm focused on the team and working hard for the team, and it's unfair to speak about new contracts for the time being. So he seems to want to avoid that question. He was also talking about how we've been going in the league and the recent form. He said we've dropped some points in the league and we're out of the FA Cup. If you think about it, then it's a negative. But we're in the Europa League and we're in the final of the Carabao, and we're still in the fight for top 4. So we go with good energy. He was asked what's going wrong at the moment for Spurs. He said it's obviously also the players' responsibility. We have conversation as players and we know we can do a lot better. It's very sad in the league we drop points when we have the opportunity to win, but football is not that easy and you have to concentrate until the final whistle. When you don't win, the mood is down, but the players want to fight until the end of the season changes very quickly. We are top of the table, and 2 weeks and 2 weeks after, it's another team top of the table. Things can change very quick, so we have to be focused and we have to be positive. On winning the Europa League, he said it's not only the gaffer who wants to win the Europa League, the players also have to take that responsibility. I know he's a winner, but it's also the players as well. We have to take responsibility on the pitch, and the gaffer tells us what to do, and we have to take that responsibility. On his relationship with Harry Kane, he said, I think it's not only about Harry. We've spoken about Harry many times. He's so good when he has the ball, he's looking around, scoring goals, but his passing is just as good as his scoring. We've been working together for 6 years and he knows what I like. It's a very special relationship, especially this season. We're working to be better, working harder than before, which is why our relationship is so special. And then he was asked about whether Mourinho still has the dressing room on side, or if Mourinho has lost the dressing room. He just said...
Did he ask him that while sitting next to Mourinho?
No, Mourinho probably moved on from moved out, I think. Or maybe he was. I don't know. I think they do it individually. I don't think Mourinho was there at the time, from what I can see. But basically he laughed at the suggestion, just said rumors are just rumors. Our dressing room has a fantastic atmosphere. It's about getting results. We're happy when we win and we're sad if we lose. The dressing room has not changed at all. Everyone is happy and focused on the game ahead. And what can I say? It's just a bad rumor.
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly going to come out and say
no, he's not, is he?
I think they're playing for him. I think they're all on side. I just think it's just a bad run of results, really. And I really believe that we can turn this round.
I think we can. I think we can turn it around. I know it's been really bad recently, but I really believe we can turn it around.
I think if we can get a result against West Ham, I really believe that can kickstart our season.
Mm-hmm. I agree,
because it's such a big game against a team that are banging form, and if we can go and beat them, then that will give us confidence to go into the next few games, because the next few games are like really winnable games in terms of Burnley at home and what have you.
Yeah, but I also think it's important for our fringe players or our squad players to start performing, especially in like Europa League games and stuff. And it's good for them to have that confidence back, because we're going to need them big time. And that's one of our big failings, is the fringe players coming into the squad and they're really not being up to it. Whereas when we have our first 11 out of the pitch, I think in general, when we've had our first 11 out on the pitch, we've generally been pretty good. Or all right, even if we haven't won a game, we've had a lot of chances and we should have won, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as we get a few injuries and we're using a lot of the fringe players, all of a sudden we look a shadow of that team and we'll start struggling a lot. And obviously, Mourinho has to take responsibility for that as well. But the players, I believe, just need that confidence they can come in and do a job for us in crucial games. And that hasn't been the case. But maybe with the Europa League, just trying to think of silver linings, maybe the Europa League back, if they can get some more game time and get that confidence, maybe when they come in Premier League games, it won't be as bad as they have been.
Two players which were not mentioned in this press conference, which have basically been mentioned in every single press conference for the past couple of months, Bale and Dele Alli.
Yeah.
Do you think they get a start on Thursday?
I think one of them will. I'm not sure which one, but I think one of them will get a start. I don't think he trusts both of them to be in the lineup together. But I reckon he does start one of them. I reckon it's probably more likely to be Dele for me, just because I think, I don't know if he starts in Ndombele on Thursday, because he's played a lot of football. So whether he wants to make up that creativity with Dele remains to be seen. But I reckon one of them does get a start. And we're going to need them. And I think we need to start playing them more minutes and giving them opportunities to prove their worth, because from now to the end of the season, they're going to be needed for sure. And if one of them, even just one of them, could get on form, then we have an extra element to our attack. So I think one of them does start on Thursday for me.
All right, so I think that brings a close to the press conference reaction. Predicted lineup will be out in the next hour, so check out for that. Thank you for joining us for this press conference reaction. Let me know in the comment section below if you want us to carry on doing these press conference reactions, because I thought you enjoyed it, Sim, didn't you?
I think it's good. I think it's also important. I think because we watched the whole thing before the press conference, so I'm not just reading out quotes without any context. So I think it's important when a lot of times when you see quotes given out on social media and they backbanded about a bit, not all the time, but a lot of the time they're taken out of context, or they're said in a way which you can't get the the tone of how someone said something just by text.
Sure.
So I think it's important to go through it, and I like reacting to what sometimes you get nuggets of what people. What he said in the press conference. So look, if you enjoy it, let us know in the comments below if you enjoy the press conference reactions, and we'll keep doing them.
All right, so there you have it. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll be back for our next live stream on tomorrow night, 5:55 kickoff out in Hungary, Wolfsberger away. Come and join us for the watch along tomorrow. Come and join us for the post-match fan show as well, where it's your chance to give your opinions on the game. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.